Oh,
For months, masked federal agents have aggressively engaged with protesters in several states while carrying out the president's immigration directives. Shooting pepper balls into faces, using cars to move people, and even employing chokeholds on protesters.
That is the voice of CBS News correspondent Nicole Sganga. She spent weeks documenting federal agents and their use of force against protesters and journalists. Nicole joins us now. And Nicole, this is a really big story that you worked on. People can find it on cbsnews.com. You've seen a lot. There were many clips of these incidents in your piece. And I'm curious if there was one use of force interaction that really stood out to you while you were reporting this.
Yeah, Maria, I think firing pepper balls from elevation and using unmarked vehicles to physically move people, be them demonstrators or undocumented migrants. I think these are two instances where less than lethal force become lethal force very quickly. And any law enforcement officer will tell you these tactics are a last resort. They're meant to be used only in situations where there's an imminent risk of harm or death. So deploying them as frequently as we've seen in neighborhood streets in cities across the country and specifically around Chicago is not just dangerous for those demonstrators, it's also dangerous for law enforcement. And it gives Americans the sense that federal agents are operating in places around Chicago with impunity, which further erodes the trust between communities and those who police the streets.
Right, a lot of the clips in your reporting were from right outside the Broadview ICE facility that we've been out for many weeks watching some of the clashes there. You took clips of those incidents. You brought them to Eric Balliet, who was a federal agent. I understand he led investigations into ICE use of force. I want to play for our audience some of his thoughts on what he watched.
pepper balls and less than lethal munitions in my training experience are never shot at the head, neck, or solar plex area. So to have these rounds impact someone in the face, in the head, in the neck, runs the risk of serious injury, death, or unintentional consequences.
He also had been through some training, Nicole, is that right, that these federal agents have? So I'm curious what else he had to say about the actions he saw on video.
Yeah, Eric Balliet, he's a very experienced, longtime career federal agent. You mentioned that he led ICE's internal use of force investigations. He was also a member of HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, for over 20 years. I think one thing that stood out to me is that he really fears that leadership is going to wait until someone is hurt or perhaps even killed in order to discipline the agents here, taking action when really it's too late.
Also sat down with Greg Bavino himself and asked about these same incidents, showed him those clips, and he defended his agents' use of force. Let's listen to that now.
Aiming above the waist is within policy?
It can be. If someone strays into a pepper ball, then that's on them. Don't protest and don't trespass. And the use of force that I've seen has been exemplary.
So quite the opposite reaction from him. And Nicole, your reporting found that that wasn't exactly jiving with what was in the protocol book for these federal agents.
Absolutely. I mean, not only did the commander there, Gregory Bavino of Operation Midway Blitz, tell us that agents are acting well within policy, but he also said that no agents, so far at least, have been investigated or disciplined yet for violations of use of force connected to the operations in and around Chicago. And he told us that deterrence is also part of immigration enforcement operations strategy there, that these operations are carried out in a way that he thinks dissuades undocumented migrants coming across the border and remaining in the U.S. illegally. Of course, the larger question, at what cost and at what harm, not only to demonstrators, but also to undocumented migrants in the Chicago area, and of course, law enforcement that is on the front lines of this day in and day out.
Nicole Sganga, thank you for joining us and for your reporting. You can see her entire report right now on CBSNewsChicago.com.